Today's episode is a bit of a milestone. It's episode number 300, and in it, I'd like to talk about a couple things I've learned doing this podcast over the last 4.5 years. Stay tuned. Hello, friends. Pastor Tim Westermeyer here, Senior Pastor of St. Philip the Deacon in the western suburbs of Minneapolis. It's good to be with you as always. Today is a bit of a milestone. This is our 300th episode. Episode number 1 was released on, I think I've got this date right, March 18th of 2020. So that's not quite 4.5 years ago. And I don't know about you, but turns out I've gotten older. A lot has happened in the last 4.5 years in my own life. We've had children graduate from high school and college. We've had children get married and go off to college, and all kinds of things have happened here at St. Philip the Deacon, all of them good, and I'm more excited about the future of this place than I've ever been, so that's wonderful and hopeful. And so on this 300th episode, I guess I have a couple of reflections about things I've learned over the last 300 episodes. One of them is a surprise, and one of them is not a surprise. And the surprise is that if you look at the top 8 most viewed episodes of the last 300 episodes, fully 6 of them are about wristwatches. So that's a surprise for a couple of reasons. One, it's a surprise that I ever even talked about watches. And if you want to know why I did that, you can go back to episode 124. And the other is that me talking about watches would be at all interesting to anyone else. And I did that episode I've talked about this more than a few times, very sheepishly, thinking, well, why should a pastor be talking about something as trivial and insignificant as watches when what he should be talking about is theology and the Bible and the history of Christianity and people like C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien and Flannery O'Connor and all the others, which I've also done, by the way. So it strikes me, and this will get us to the second point, which is the point I'm not surprised about, that what happened in that moment and that series of moments about episodes around watches is I disclosed something personal about myself that, I'm reminded about David Brooks' admonition from his book, Knowing How to Know a Person. Is that the title of it? I think that we'll put it up here. I've only talked about it a few times. But he has this prompt for conversations to invite someone to respond to the question, what's your favorite unimportant thing about you? What's your favorite unimportant thing about you? His own answer to that, by the way, is I like early Taylor Swift better than late Taylor Swift. And so I've done that exercise a couple of times in some groups, and in every instance, when you invite people to share something that's unimportant, they share something that's really interesting to them, and their eyes light up. And so when I shared my own strange, unusual, bizarre interest in watches, I think I was disclosing something, and it ended up connecting me, again, unexpectedly, with people literally all around the world who also share that interest and who happen to also be people of faith. So that's the second thing that I will mention about the last 300 episodes, and this is the part that's not a surprise, and that is that at the end of the day, it's all about the people. And after 300 episodes, I cannot begin to list everyone I've gotten to know, everyone I've been connected with, dear friends or people who've become dear friends because of this podcast or because of my parallel Instagram account. But to each and every one of you who I've connected with over these last 4.5 years, I do say genuinely and in a heartfelt way, thank you. Those relationships are indeed precious, and they help us to build community. They help us to be reminded that even when we share quirky things about ourselves, like an interest and a love for watches, people still like us, right? And I think there's something really powerful about that. So I guess I sort of just wanted to leave you with those words of gratitude. It'd be remiss if I didn't also thank Tim, who's behind the camera. Before COVID started, he was the one who approached me more than a few times to say, Tim, you really should do a podcast. And I kept saying to him, I don't really think I've got time for that. And then, of course, COVID happened, and all of a sudden, I found the time. And I am so glad I did. I'm so glad he suggested it. It's been just a ton of fun to put these last 300 episodes together. I look forward to the next 300. And I guess if it would be also remiss of me, since this lives on YouTube, for me not at this point to say, if you enjoy these episodes and you are not yet subscribed, might I ask you to do that? I think I can't even remember what number we're approaching. We haven't broken the internet yet. Maybe in the next 300 we will. We'll see. But still, I think that the work we're doing is important. I love doing it. I love the conversations it prompts, and I'm grateful to each and every one of you for being along for the ride. So here's to 300 episodes, and as always, until next time, be well, stay in touch, and God bless.